जंगल जंगल फिर बात चली.
All India Radio presents Fabulous Fables of India. Shh, strictly for kids and the young at heart.
आपको पता है आज हम आपको कौन सी कहानी सुनाएंगे? तो चलिए जल्दी से आपको बताएं. आज हम आपको सुना रहे हैं कहानी द एलिफेंट एंड द स्पैरोज और आपको ये कहानी सुना रहे हैं भवीन गोसाई.
It was a very hot day in the middle of the summer month, and Gusu the elephant, who would usually be angry without any reason, today, because of the heat, was getting very bothered and angry, and since morning had already had 2 fights with 2 other elephants, one of whom didn't like Gusu at all and had given him such a big thappad with his thick trunk that Gusu was totally humiliated. That is why he was grazing alone away from the herd, standing under a tree for shade and remembering the fight, which was running like a movie in his head. That big trunk coming to him like a whip and hitting him with such a smack. He got so angry that he started shaking and his big leaf-like ears started flapping and making a lot of noise, and he lifted his trunk and let out a loud trumpeting sound and angrily shook the tree that he was standing under and raised his trunk and grabbed the first branch of the tree and whoosh! Pulled it down, crack! The branch fell to the ground and some yellow sticky substance started spreading on the ground. But do you think Gusu saw that? No, of course not. He just angrily moved on. And then there was silence again in the forest. But in that silence could be heard the sound of someone crying. It was a little sparrow mother. She was sitting next to the yellow sticky substance. Oh God, these were her children that were getting formed inside her eggs, which were on that branch in a nest that she had made with her husband. Her husband was fluttering his wings over her head, trying to console her, but the poor mother would not stop crying. A woodpecker who lived in a tree that had escaped Gusu's anger flew over and said irritatedly, "Oh, stop crying, for heaven's sake! What's happened has happened. No use crying over spilled milk, or, in this case, broken eggs." The little sparrow, who was a gentle creature usually, got very irritated and angry and gave the woodpecker a sharp stab with her beak. "How dare you crack such third-rate jokes at this sad time?" cried the sparrow mother, hopping about angrily. "I would love to hear your jokes when your eggs are spilled all over the ground," she screeched. She was so angry that the woodpecker just got very scared and hung his head down in shame. "I am sorry, so sorry. You see, I'm trying to make a career as a stand-up comedian, and so I'm always practicing my jokes. So sorry. Anyway, how can I help you?" "How do I know?" cried the sparrow. "Go and pull out the eyes of that elephant if you can." "Oh, I couldn't do that. He smacked me with his trunk so hard that like a cricket ball I'd go over the boundary." "I want revenge. I want to kill that horrible elephant, that horrible, horrible elephant. Think, think, think. You have to think of a way," screeched the sparrow. Thinking hard, the woodpecker said, "Well, we need somebody to distract him so that I can fly up to his eyes. He thought, and the sparrow mother thought, and the sparrow father fluttered his wings overhead and thought too. They thought and they thought, and while they were thinking, a fly flew past. Now this fly was in a great hurry, because that was the way she was, always buzzing and rushing, flying here and there. She was a very well-traveled fly, you see. As she crossed the woodpecker, the buzzing sound that she was making entered his head and made his head nod to the music of that buzzing, and his eyes closed, for he was feeling very relaxed and woozy, and suddenly his eyes popped open wide, and he bellowed, "Oh, got it! I know how to distract him. I have a friend, a fly, and she makes the most wonderful music when she buzzes. Now, if she went and buzzed in the elephant's ear, I'm sure he would swoon and close his eyes and dance, and then I could just fly up to his eyes and plunk, stab his eyes with my beak, and there you will have a blind elephant." "But I don't want a blind elephant. I want him dead," screeched the sparrow mother. You are not easily satisfied, are you?" muttered the woodpecker. "Well, I am done thinking for the day. It's very hot to think anymore." "Oh, it would be terrible to be blind in this heat," said the father sparrow, who got emotional very easily. "How will the poor boy look for water when he's thirsty?" "Oh, do be quiet, darling. Now don't go soft-hearted for that horrible elephant who has killed all your children," scolded the mother sparrow. Then suddenly she became very still. The woodpecker looked at her, the father sparrow looked at her, and they waited and they waited, and the mother sparrow looked at them and smiled. "I've got it! What we need is a frog," she murmured. "Oh, I know a frog. He's a friend," said the woodpecker. "Then let's go and meet your friend the frog," said the sparrow. And the woodpecker was suddenly very scared. The next day it was even hotter, and Gusu, as usual, was angrily hitting out at things in his usual way when he heard a buzzing near his ear. It was a nice buzzing, very musical, and he started swaying to the music and slowly closed his eyes and started enjoying the pleasant sensation when suddenly, "Ah!" he cried out in pain. Something had happened to his left eye. As he lifted his trunk to see what could have happened, he felt the same pain in his other eye. He tried to open his eyes, but his eyelids were stuck and blood was pouring out. "Water! Water!" he shouted. "I need to wash my eyes! Water! Water!" He heard a frog croaking. "Oh, a frog! There must be a pond!" And he ran towards the sound of the frog's croaking, who was, of course, not sitting next to a pond, but at the edge of a cliff. And tadam! Gusu fell and rolled down the cliff and broke his leg and learnt his lesson. So even if your enemy is big and strong and a bully, you can get back to them and teach them a lesson if you have intelligent friends. That, my friends, is the moral of the story.
तो आप सुन रहे थे कहानी द एलिफेंट एंड द स्पैरोज, और ये कहानी आपको सुना रहे थे भवीन गुसाई। हम बहुत बेसब्री से आपके मैसेजेस का, आपके कमेंट्स का इंतजार करेंगे, और आपको पता है ना, जाना कहाँ है? फेसबुक पे आकाशवाणी फीचर्स वाले पेज पे। तो आप अपने कमेंट्स हम तक पहुंचाइएगा, हम इंतजार करेंगे। और फिलहाल मैं आपसे कहती हूँ बाय।
A presentation of the Central English and Hindi Features Units. This program came to you from the External Services Division of All India Radio.
जंगल जंगल फिर बात चली।